counting the lives. It's quite amazing how many there are. All right, so what I want to say is we're all in this group. Why are we in this group? What's the point of being in this group? We're here because, well, one would assume that we are here because we want to learn and grow. We're here for self-improvement. Yeah, right? We're here for self-improvement, self-awareness, self-discovery, and we're here to discuss that also, right? This is the point and purpose of the group. This is why we're here. Now, also, we're here because of that discussion and interaction, which means also that we can get assistance. There's collaboration, and I'm very focused on this point, right? And through collaboration, through interaction, through discussion, through sharing, we gain much. We learn. That feedback is very important. And I would assume also that, you know, sometimes we are in a situation where we want some more. We want to get a bit more out of this, yes? And what is that more? Well, you know, there's connecting with people. Like many people go to therapists and join, you know, or other courses and programs. And this is a very big point for me, is what is it that we can gain? What do we get from this? Where is it that we get value? That's a very big point. Very big point. So how do we get this value, right? So Jessica is busy working on a post of getting value from her therapist. I'm on a topic here, Jessica, that I started on. I'm assuming people are in the group because they want self-improvement, self-awareness, self-discovery. They want to learn, they want to grow. But how do we go about it? Yes, we post in group, we read the posts, we interact. Those are all really profound ways that we can do this. But what if we want a little bit more, or maybe to go a little bit quicker, right? So in doing this, I thought, you know, I have many programs and courses that, of course, offer this. But what about those who want something quick? Can this be done? And, you know, typically, when we look for quick fixes, we end up with Band-Aid fixes, where basically you just address the symptom and you not address the cause. However, there are times when we can actually get results fairly quickly, right? Or take in your case, Jessica, right? So I call you Jessica Exploded. I shared one concept, just one, which we won't share here now. Somebody wants to know, they can ask. We'll see how they ask, right? One concept. And that one conception, we thought it through, we went through it, but this one sharing of this one perspective, this one conception, this one understanding, this one connection, this one realization, it exploded things for you, yes? And then you kind of ran with that and you took it further. And of course, this is what needs to be done. Application. Hello, sir. Oh, I'm so pleased that you're here. I'm just, I started sharing while I was waiting for you guys. I started sharing with what's on my mind, and what's specifically on my mind is why we are in group, what we're doing here, and how we get value, right? This is a very big deal. So I was saying that, yes, you know, we want to get value, and sometimes we want to get it fairly quickly. And typically that doesn't work. As you know, so helping people also, that Band-Aid fixes tend to look at the symptom and not the underlying problem. So, you know, you take pain medication, but you're not fixing that, I don't know, whatever's wrong with the thing, like, you know, like athletes, right? And they get over the pain, but they make the problem worse in whatever, you know, the rotator cuff or whatever the thing is, right? So you have to be very careful of that, that actually when you look at symptoms, you actually can aggravate the problem, never mind ignore it, right? And make it worse. But sure, here's the thing, Jessica. This is what I was thinking. Now, how can I provide value in the group that is not, like really doing Way-of-Impeccability or any of the other Mourners Project things, which are a longer term commitment. You're looking to change your entire life. Where can I touch things which will have, that's a short thing, but can make a profound difference, right? And there is one program I have. It's a workshop, actually, right? And this is that perspective shifting workshop, right? I don't know if we ever did it. Sure, I don't think so. But anyway,
oh yeah, I did.
going to be
I took it in
offering,
person.
say again?
I said, yeah, I took it in person.
When that's right. When you came to the house, that's right.
Right. Yep. And
And
it was profound. I'm going to tell you, it
right,
made a lot of difference.
exactly. And you know what's magical with that is that not only is there a profound shift in how we conceive the world and conceive ourselves, which is the point of the program, right? It also gets us to see how the world works, and it shifts and changes our understanding of kind of everything. And also, that's just the start. The second point of that is, or the thing is, that you actually go and you take away something with you that's a tangible, physical something that you can go and put on your wall and get benefit from every day. I don't want to say what it is, sure, because I don't want to, preempt the program, right? Because that particular workshop, it does sort of rely on not knowing where we're going.
Exactly.
It's very cool. It's very cool. And it's like, oh, and there's all these surprises and revelations of shift. This is the program that I sent you the files for to print out, Jessica.
It's a good one.
Workshop.
It's a good one.
So it's
I will say this. Now, most people are going to get it right away. It took this lady here quite some time, but that's because there was a lot of other stuff in the way. But once it connected, and it stuck with me.
Exactly. Oh, I'm so excited that you came on and that I'd forgotten all about that you've done this. Yes, it's a profound workshop. And it's kind of sitting there, and I didn't look too much on it because, well, it was geared and set up to be done in person, right? With the worksheets and everything. But I did adapt it to do online, and I sort of forgot about it. And I'm doing it with Erica, and because Jessica, I want to do it with Jessica, and this reminded me to do it. But I'm going to put it up in the group and make it available, right? So that people can. But I'm not going to do it for free. So no, sorry. Yeah, you want to do this? There's going to be a cost involved. And I thought, well, you know what, Jessica, you've been talking about going to your therapist, right? And you're going to make this post about how little value you've been getting, not lots, but little. Now, some people do get value. I'm going to knock all the therapists. They definitely can be had. It all depends on the therapist and the therapy, right? But typical classical therapy is about problem fixing, which you just run around in circles. You don't really get anywhere. If there's replacement involved, which some of the more modern therapists are starting to realize, you know what, you've got to. But then, unfortunately, some get a bit preachy and start to. No, that's no good either. So it becomes tricky, right? You want tools. Now, in this workshop, though, I thought in terms of pricing, I said, what are 2 visits on average typically, or 3 visits? What are they going to cost somebody? I'm going to price it for a couple of visits to your therapist, right? So think of it in that sense. But I'm going to actually guarantee results, right? Sure. I mean, I think I can fairly safely guarantee you're going to have a profound perspective shift to say, holy moly, I never thought of this. And now that I do, this is huge, right? That's one. And the other one is that you're going to have something positive and tangible to take away that you are going to create. Not me, you, the participant, right? Right, sure. Can't give the game away, but this is what happens, right? Very cool. So I think this is, I mean, beside, there's lots of other stuff, but I think I can guarantee at least those 2 profound things, right? And so I feel this is quite a big deal. Anyway, all right. So let's just, to start. I like to start the any of the Zoom sessions that we do to hear where people are at, right? So I am very keen to hear. So since we've been chatting with you, yes, sure, Jessica, you've been practicing patience, you told me. So very cool. Just hang in there a little bit more. How are you, sure, and where are you at? What's happening?
Oh, obviously, I'm grateful that it's Friday. It's been a long week, and How am I? Well, I think it's interesting that you mentioned the perspective shifting course, because that's kind of where my mind is going back to today is, hey, I've got to shift gears again. Because once we do change our perception and our perspective on one thing, something else is going to come up and we have to shift again. And it's just it does make a person tired first. So I'm a little bit tired, but I am definitely working on shifting this morning, just checking my mood a lot. It's pretty constant.
So you're applying, you're practicing perspective shifting, you're practicing mood management, and through the mood management, you're also practicing energy management, and vice versa through energy management. So you're applying and using your tools, very simple tools, but also ridiculously profound tools that make all the difference, because otherwise you could just as well be in an immersion bubble of it sucks, it was, all this stuff, right? I mean, you had a rough week. You had a lot of stuff that you had to deal with, not in yourself, but externally. Well, some, of course.
Well, both. No, I mean, some of it, it involved me too. I mean, it was.
Correct.
It does.
But you see, and you did deal with it. It's tough stuff to deal with, and you did, which is wonderful. And that's the point, to know, to be aware and look back and say, you know what, I did deal with it. I did get through it. It was difficult, but I did. That's it. Sometimes stuff is just difficult,
Yes.
So, but you can. That's the magic thing. You can deal with it.
Right. See, and the thing is I could have skipped this morning. I know I could have. That was within my power to do. But the timing was right. I just looked at it and it's like, nope. You know what? There's sometimes we just got to do the things that we really don't want to face doing. And so, coming on, it doesn't mean anything bad. It just means I need to face whatever it is that's inside of me that hurts. So, it's okay. I can do this.
Yes. Yeah, you can. Exactly, you can. And I'm also just thrilled that you're here, because I love having you here. Love hearing your perspectives. Love hearing your comments. So it's very cool. Very cool. All right.
I actually made a post about that, about facing belief systems and stuff like that, and how it really when you believe something, you're refusing to actually face what you are dealing with. It's basically lying to yourself. The other thing that I noticed, and it was a kind of a theory that I had when Sherry, you said that it made you tired with changing again, and finding more things and stuff like that. What I had come up with is, how when animals or children are growing, they sleep a lot. Because they're tired. So when your brain is growing, you're going to feel more tired.
Yes. Very, very big and profound point. Absolutely. Yes. Huge point, Jessica. So we have to pay attention. Yes, of course, we can be tired because, well, we ran out of energy. But, if we wake up tired and we can't, that energy is being used somewhere. It's processing, it's doing this. So,
right.
Very, very big point. And also talking about your post, Jessica, I actually want you to read it for us. You looking at screen?
Which one are you reading? I just reading both of hers.
Oh, I'm starting on the first, or the top one. I don't know if that's the first or second one.
Okay. Yep, that's the one I'm
second
reading.
one. But yeah, when it comes to beliefs and feeling, will you read, please, Jessica? Where'd you go? You muted, Jessica. You muted. We want you to read it aloud, not just to yourself.
How about that? I forgot I was talking to myself. When it comes to beliefs and feelings, they can go either way. We can believe something and allow it to impact how we feel, or we can believe something and not allow it to impact how we feel. Just like when it comes to feelings, if I feel cranky or crappy that day or one day, I can blame it on the belief that it's the weather that's causing it. No, so that belief that the weather is in control, how I feel is clearly a cause of me not wanting to take responsibility of my own feelings and beliefs because it's the weather's fault.
Yeah.
In reality, that is a belief that is completely silly to me now, because I choose to be in a bad, choose to be in a bad mood. I choose how I feel about the weather, not anyone else, not their beliefs, but me. There is always more ways to think about such things as the weather and how we can easily be influenced by external beliefs if we are not aware of ourselves, understand, and accept that we change our own beliefs into something more positive. There is a fine line between choosing to believe how we feel about something and taking other sides on how they believe about something or makes them feel.
Yes. How they believe something makes them feel. Yes. 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 The cadence of when we write is sometimes different to the when we say it out loud. But this is a huge point, right, Sher? Huge, huge post.
Very,
Post.
very.
Huge post. And
I'm just sitting over here smiling. It's really, really good.
exactly. And what did you tell me about the weather earlier, Jessica? Didn't you share with me that at some point long ago you used to rage against the weather occasionally, right?
Oh my goodness. Every time it rained or
Yeah.
snowed or was windy, I would be so
did.
mad at it. Like,
did.
why is this weather like this?
Right. So the key point is one to realize that this belief that the weather can somehow influence my feelings. This is a profound belief. Now it
Yes.
goes further than just the weather. It's the underlying belief that's typical in our society. Unfortunately, and we grow up with this, it's part of the paradigm, is that our feelings are determined by external things, whether it be the weather or other people. No,
Just
people
because I
don't.
think it doesn't make it real.
Exactly. And I mentioned this example to Jessica. I said, when it's raining and it's, whatever, and you are miserable because, well, not you now, but, say if you believe that, well, it's bad weather and I must feel miserable. What about the farmer? Don't you think the farmer's like, hey, it's raining, awesome, oh, good, the crops are going to grow. See, different people, different results. So the thing itself doesn't force a feeling. You've learned to feel. You feel that way because of a belief. And this is the big point here that your post is about, right? That
Yes.
it's your beliefs, and beliefs can be changed. Beliefs are not written in stone. And even then, those stone tablets, they got cracked, they got thrown, they were destroyed at first. So, well, just because it's written in stone, that doesn't mean it can't be changed, right? So we have to keep this in mind. Things can be changed, particularly beliefs. Yes, sure. I mean, if you think back, how many things you believe and you've changed those beliefs, yes, profoundly.
There's too many to even start listing, and then the even the beliefs that are changing now. Beliefs that we're shifting even as late as yesterday.
Yes,
So, or even today.
yes.
That's why I said sometimes that can make you really tired, unearthing those beliefs,
Yeah, yes,
and
yes,
just deciding what really works for you.
yes, 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 yes. And they change and they change again. And
They do.
from Way of Impeccability, we have something that's probably in your dictionary of power, I would imagine. And if it's not in yours yet, Jessica, I really recommend adding it. And that is, it's only as good as it lasts. That's
Yes,
it.
I have that multiple times in my
Ah,
dictionary.
good. That's it. Things change, and when we learn to be flexible and fluid and adaptable, which is another way of saying we learn the quality, the ability to be appropriate. We learn appropriateness. Then life is easy. We have this. We have no problem. I'm fluid. I'm flexible. I'm adaptable. I change as needed. Very simple. That's it. Now, here's a very key point. When it comes to change, you'll see people kick and squirm and fuss and huff and puff when it comes to change. They know it's inevitable. They know that, but they have this big hoo-ha. It's like, come on, all right, I see. Well, I need to change. Okay, I change. And then people will look at you and like, is that it? Yeah. Why does it have to be a big deal? Why can't it just be a simple thing? Well, I recognize I need to change. I change. In that moment, you could change your whole life right there, right? But people get freaked out, like somehow you've got to make a big song and dance a big up. No, you do not need to do this. You can have profound change just like that, right?
For me, this is true. And for me, what I was just talking about this morning with someone too, though, that that there's a border of hypocrisy or a flavor of it if they're going to complain, but not do a damn thing about it.
Exactly.
And then it's like, you know, don't talk about your situation or no, woe is me, but not choose to do something, because we always have a choice. We can change our belief, we can change the outlook, which changes the outcome. So
Yeah.
we're never without choice. We're never without resource.
Never. We have choice. And also, as you've reminded me many times, right? I'm sure that there's always an option. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
There's absolutely always an option.
Even if we
It may not be the ideal option that we would want or that we would prefer, but there is always an option. There's always an outcome.
Yeah. Exactly. Always. This is really profound. And even if you can't see the option, doesn't mean it's not there.
Exactly.
Right. That's a big point. That's a massive point, to really be aware that just because I don't see an option, don't know an option, don't believe there's an option, that's just, again, belief, not reality, right? So belief is not reality. This is very important. Of course, belief has a massive effect on our reality, but it isn't necessarily reality itself. All right, so I haven't read this this post yet. I haven't gotten here yet, but all right, we'll go through this as well. It's kind of fun, right? So if you would read again, please, Jessica.
Okay.
A little slower this time. I realize that you normally talk fast, but you know, for some of us, our brains are just a little bit slower. Right.
Okay, I can do that.
It's exciting. It is exciting. I agree. I tend to do the same thing. You know, I talk quickly. But...
Before you start, I have to say why I think she does. At first, I used to think it's because she always had to get a word in edgewise, but no. And then I thought, well, maybe it's about being heard. No, it's just because she's always that excited, whether she knows it or not.
Exactly.
She is always that excited.
I'm a very passionate person.
Share. There you go, passionate.
Yes,
but I used to think, oh gosh, you know, she's just trying to, you know, jump ahead of, you know, and get that word in. And it's like, no. Because she's passionate.
Yeah. But you know, it's sometimes to have a bit of patience and discipline. It's very good. You know, pick your timing and you get, you know, it's more important. Yeah, very cool. But all stuff that's just practice.
Yep, and I'm still practicing and learning.
And also show. Yeah, also show, you see, that the bomb has gone off inside and it needs to be released, you see. So that explosion, that's what I do, you see.
I'm glad I'm a few states away, because that's going to make a major impact.
Yeah, I think we need to change, we need to update something. Hold on one second. Hold on. See, I have powers. And I'm going to use my powers.
You're gonna
You'll see what I mean now. All right. I don't know. I don't know if you actually see this or not, but I see it. Oh, let's see if I can type right. There we go. Okay. So you see on the screen, does it show?
I love it.
What did he change it to?
Jessica exploded.
Jessica, so I started, when I make my quotes now, I started putting JE for Jessica exploded instead of JM.
Nice.
I like that.
Very cool. All right, if you would please read to us, Ms. Exploded.
Yes. Understanding the relationship between my feelings and beliefs and how they support and reinforce each other. Module 1 of Feeling and Believing. When I think about this question, I instantly thought about how many times I got mad at the weather or depressed because it was raining, snowing, windy, and cold. I used to believe the weather had a major impact on how I feel. I associated those days to be bad weather. When it was sunny, I believed I was going to be in a good mood because the sun is out. Let's face the facts about this belief that how I feel is determined by how the weather is. When this is said out loud, it sounds completely silly.
Yes, that's a very cool quote there. That's a very cool quote. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Do you know that there's a lot of external influence in this belief? Did you also know that no matter what the weather is like, You are the one who determines how you feel. I didn't fully understand this concept at first. Our beliefs can reinforce how we feel, just like how we feel can reinforce our beliefs. Think about it this way. When we talk to someone about the weather, 9 times out of 10, we hear how much they dislike the weather. After hearing this so many times from various different people, we start to form the same exact belief. The saying, oh, it's just the weather that makes me cranky, or this weather makes me feel depressed or is irritating me. We become influenced, sometimes without even knowing it, which is an inadvertent belief by social norms. It is up to us, however, to determine if that is the way we want to live. Do we want to live with the belief that the weather controls our moods? Do we want to just accept that there is no other way to feel about it? I certainly don't. Especially now that I know I don't have to buy into the belief the weather can determine how my mood how my mood would be for that day. I messed that one up. I apologize.
Sorry, there we go.
Okay, no, you're fine. I now understand the concept of owning my own beliefs and feelings. Take today, for instance. It is rainy and cold where I live. I can so easily complain about how cloudy, cold, and rainy it is. Or I can see it as an opportunity to enjoy the fact that we are finally getting moisture and how relaxing I find the rain when it hits the roof of the house and windows. I can think about it and think of how Mother Nature is replenishing the soil and her plants, as well as producing much needed water for the animals. I can also look at it as the rain is washing away all the impurities of the earth, like Mother Nature is giving everything a much needed shower.
Yes.
See what I did there? I changed my own belief and feelings towards it.
Yes.
Your beliefs and feelings don't have to be negative. You can change and set the course of how it impacts you. How cool is that?
It is most
cool.
Yes, most cool. Wonderful, 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 beautiful takeaway. And as for you, this takeaway, again, for anybody reading this, Jessica's not posting to get likes or whether you read it or not is totally irrelevant. The value is for Jessica, right, Jessica?
Yes, the value is very much so for me. And that's why I post these too, is not for likes, not for people to, for anything. It's for me. It's so I can also put it out there and, read it over again and really like let it sink in too for me.
Exactly.
Because you can write something and it not fully sink in, but halfway sink in. And the more you write it and the more you read it, you start to realize that, okay, well, yeah, I can see it this way, but now my belief has changed. So I want to write more on it.
Okay, I know somebody, I'm going to interrupt here for a second. I know
Please.
somebody, I know somebody's belief that desperately needs to change right now. I think we all know who I'm speaking of, but what I'd like to see is this be emailed.
Yes.
And then read together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Jess?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I can, yep, I do know what you're saying.
I think if it's put out there that, yep, this is from you, this is your perspective, this is your take, what do you think of it? I'm thinking it might help shift a little bit, or at least put a crack in the wall.
I agree. I hope so. It's powerful stuff. So yes, there's good reason to feel and be optimistic that it will make a profound difference, because it's powerful stuff. When we share what's inside us without preaching or for purposes, when it's that genuine, honest sharing, this is always valuable. Why? Because it gives us a glimpse into the other. Right now, doesn't mean that it always applies to me, but I can see the logic. I can see the reason. I get to see it from the outside, and this is profound. When stuff is being preached at me and told me you must do this or whatever, then I start to like, well, who are you to say? And are you for sure this is right? But you can't tell me it's right for me, but you can say it's right for you. So therefore, I listen, because this is what you believe works for you. and maybe I can learn from this. Sometimes not, but sometimes I do. So while I don't really feel like that, I never had an issue with the weather. I always just enjoyed the weather. So okay, never bothered me or whatever. Right. So it's something that when we see it from the outside, this is very profound and very valuable and very, very useful. Really, really awesome.
And looking back, and I've been really referring a lot to my conversation with somebody last night, and looking back at it, I didn't realize that's what I was doing, but I did just that. I shared my own experiences, my own beliefs now, and how I view it now. And there was a lot of listening on both ends. There was, a lot of reciprocation and listening. And to me, that was a huge step in progress for just between he and I. And
super
I don't know, I feel positive about it.
Oh yes, same here, very positive, very, very positive. It's a massive shift, a massive, profound, magical, very cool shift. Very cool, right?
I also feel like this level of sharing that's done, just as takeaways, done as repeatbacks from what is being absorbed from any of these programs or processes or even discussions. I think it just really shifts the energy. I feel like it just shifts the energy, not of just ourselves, but of whoever's reading whatever it is that's being shared. So well done. Well done.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Cheryl said I was just talking about you, Cheryl, earlier. There was a quote in one of the programs from Cheryl, and it was a very cool quote, right, Jessica? So
it was very profound. I
definitely,
it was, I loved it.
Yeah. So I said to Jessica, I said, I hope you get to meet Cheryl. I hope Cheryl gets to meet you. And Cheryl just said hi. So just typing it.
I missed. Okay, where was it?
What was that? I'll share it in a moment. I just want to say to Cheryl to come and join us. So maybe she will. Maybe she might not be able to. She's working, but who knows? She can take 5 minutes. Yeah. I'm gonna pull up the that quote in a moment. It's very cool stuff because it relates to what Jessica was sharing. So to go back a little bit here, we'll come back to this in a moment. That's where we're going to start. Cool stuff. And this was in feeling and believing. Yeah. This relationship between feeling and believing, we're just going to do this as an extra. It's a really profound point, right? And so it starts here. This is a little mini course, and it's a very cool little mini course. Very, very, very potent, very influential. So the quote is, sometimes feelings escort us to exaggerated, self-indulgent thoughts and judgments, right? Feelings, we're talking about feelings.
Sometimes feelings, hold on. Sometimes feelings escort us to exaggerated, self-indulgent thoughts. Wow.
Yes, wow.
That is very true.
Very potent as well. So a participant came, long ago, and this was their comment that they made. Just when thinking about this is what they said. She said, sometimes my feelings cause me to create stories around my belief systems that are filled with truth, but are not always reality.
That's true. Very, very true.
Profound quote of self-awareness and self-honesty combined, and also to reveal the complexity that can be involved when feelings and beliefs cause a loop that reinforce each other. We end up believing stuff that have belief systems that are filled with truth, but they're not always reality. It seems like a truth to me, and this is what this course explores, right? It's a very big point. And Cheryl, if you're listening, right? Cheryl enabled.
That is a particular course that definitely is a bubble buster.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge deal. All right. So yes, from Cheryl enabled. Sometimes our feelings give us permission to think too hard and too far based on the intensity of what we are feeling.
Sometimes our feelings give us permission to think too hard and too far. Yep, that's true. Yep, based on the intensity of what we've, but see there again too, though, we assign a meaning to those feelings.
Yeah.
You know, we decide
That's
whether
the
we
permission.
assign that a meaning, and then we decide whether or not they're valid. And many
Exactly.
times, if we're in a bubble, we're going to say, yep,
Exactly.
it's valid, it's true, it's real, I feel it.
And that intensity can feed on itself, and then you get
Yes, it can.
it starts looping onto itself. And this actually looks like
Yep.
Cheryl, by the way. So if Cheryl does decide to come on, maybe we'll get to see her and we'll see. I thought this was very cool. Just, graphic I had, and it's like, man, it came right up. So, oh, wow, this actually looks a bit like Cheryl. It's very cool. Very cool. All right. I just love this, and this was really profound to understand at this point, that this is what Jessica's posts were about. They aren't about the anxiety and worry directly, but of course they absolutely apply. And this is where I want to
Yes.
start off now. So I want to go to feeling and believe. That's not the
They
right
tie
word.
in with
Oh, no.
anxiety and worry,
Exactly.
because your belief systems and how you feel about them can cause worry, and which in turn, that consistent worry will cause anxiety. And that, by changing your belief system, you can, or your beliefs about something, to your own and not something that's based on external,
Yeah.
then you can also help eliminate that anxiety and that worry, by even changing your whole perspective, your feelings on it, and making it your own, truly,
Exactly.
not just
Exactly.
something that's based on what somebody else believes.
Exactly. Exactly. This is it, making it your own. This is very key. And again, when we're talking about changing beliefs, we aren't necessarily talking about changing a belief system. Sometimes, yes, maybe, but in general, we're not. We're not. We're talking about changing specific beliefs, not necessarily a whole belief system. So I'm just setting
Yes.
up here so that I can monitor the comments in case there are new ones. I do like to respond to comments, so please feel free to comment. I'm really thrilled you're here, Cheryl. Very cool. She may just have come to say hi. That's fine too. I very much appreciate those highs. It's very cool. I like to be connected, but I hope you come join us sometime. All right, so we're on module 2 here, being aware of exactly what anxiety
Good.
is.
I was wondering where we were.
Yeah, we're starting module 2. And so cool, the starting off point with beliefs, right? So
Yeah.
I'm trying to be specific here, because we do things and we're not always clear that we are doing them. We don't even realize we're doing it. We just kind of in a fuzzy bubble. So this really, really applies to beliefs, and also applies to anxiety and worry, right? It can be very, very fuzzy, both of them. So this clarity is very, very useful. So these are the contents, and we'll be going through them, and we'll just go as we go, right? So the first key point here is assumptions of probability and potentiality. And the key here is assumption, right? And assumptions are very closely related to beliefs. So often our beliefs are just that. They're assumptions. They're not actually real. Yes? Jessica?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to get this. I don't know what happened to there we go. See, I like to have things a bit balanced. I don't know. Somehow it got a bit out of whack there. But all right, that's just me fiddling around. Don't mind me. All right. So when we look at the future, worry is when we assign. That's a key word here. Assign. Worry is when we assign a negative probability or potentiality to a possible outcome. That belief, that assigned negative belief, is the worry. So you see how the relationship comes back to belief now. We've created a belief. Oh, what are you saying, so? You're saying my worry is a belief I create? Oh, yes, that is
It
what
is
I'm
very
saying.
much so.
That is what's being said here. This is it. This is like, holy crap. Oh, sorry, people, but holy moly, right? This is a huge point. Yeah. We are deciding that it will be negative, and therefore we need to worry. And if it's recurring and regular that we have such potentials in our life, then we have anxiety, right? Anxiety is just kind of habituated, regular insisting on worry, right? So this is a massive, massive big deal. Just this one slide. Please read it for me again, Sher.
Okay, I'm going back to yesterday, that's all. Okay, so when we look at the future, worry is when we assign a negative probability or potentiality to a possible outcome. That belief, that assigned negative belief, is the worry. That's the worry.
Yeah.
We are deciding that it will be negative, and therefore we need to worry. And if it's recurring and regular, that we have such potentials in our life, then we have anxiety.
But it's all self-created, in other words, yes?
What's that?
It's all self-created.
Yes, it is. It is.
Jessica, right?
Yes, it's very much so self-created. And I can see, Cher, why you said you were thinking a little bit back by yesterday. Um, and
Yeah.
I definitely can understand that. And it does, you know, when we're so basically when we assign a negative probability or potentiality, we are essentially setting the stage for anxiety for ourselves. I
Exactly.
mean, complete meltdowns and panic attacks.
Exactly. The one thing leads to the
We
other.
turn into,
Exactly.
I was gonna say, no, we turn into henny pennies at that moment.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, I don't mention it here because I want to be a bit gentle, but you know, in other parts later in the program, I might be a bit harsh with the worry pots, as I call them, right? So if you're a worry pot, sorry, I don't mean to be negative or discriminatory, but well, if that's the reality, that's the reality, right? You don't need to stay a worry pot. So I think Bina gave me a bit of a hard time. So, are you a bit prejudiced against worry pots? I was like, somebody had a bad experience with him. No, not really. But you know, sometimes we need to press a little bit on things. So I want to say here this to be a bit harsh again. When we are assigning negative possibilities and probabilities, are we not being fundamentally profoundly arrogant? It's like
Negative Nancy.
think how the future is going to turn out.
Right.
Right. Now, it doesn't mean that there is there might actually be something, you know, you might have a realistic thing, but just because it's realistic and there is actually a probability doesn't mean it's a guaranteed conclusion. Furthermore, it doesn't also mean that worry is your option, right? So we're going to get into that later on. But this is a big point. So I don't mean to be harsh, but you know, when you start to connect your worry to, it's like impatience. If you're impatient, you're also being arrogant because, well, you want the world to operate according to your timetable. No, sorry, that's just arrogance, right? But the reason I like to connect it to arrogance is because good people like Jessica and Cher, right? And likewise, most of the people that I know that pay attention, you know, Cheryl, whoever, anybody who comes, right? And most of the people I know are very profoundly deep, good people. And the moment they realize, holy moly, I was being arrogant. Oh, no, please, sorry, I don't want to be arrogant, right? This is it. We don't want to be arrogant. So when we understand the relationship and we understand impatience and worry are just really arrogance in disguise, then it gives us leverage to change our behavior because we don't want to be arrogant. And this is a big deal. It's a massive
As well as this capital C control. That is arrogance, that leads to impatience, that leads to
exactly.
worry and anxiety. Because when we feel like we don't have control over something, then we start to get very impatient and we want it to work our way, not the way that it's supposed to.
Exactly. I call it Burger King logic, and I'll blame them. Why? Because you remember their very first ads, right? I want it my way right away. Or get it your way right away. Yes, that was the focus on Burger King. This was their big promotion. You can, because before Burger King, you couldn't customize your burgers. They just, whatever way you gave it, then Burger King come and said, no, you can get it your way right away, right? But this taught us of this self-indulgence and immediate self-gratification and all this, right? instant gratification. So it's Burger King logic. Now, I don't blame Burger King, really. You can say, okay, it was a good business model and it works for fast food. But life is not fast food. And if you're going to think of life as fast food, well, you're going to have a problem, right? So this is a very powerful logic to think that, it's not about getting it my way, never mind right away. You have to adapt to life, not get life to adapt to you, right? What
Yes.
was that quote that I shared the other day, sure? Very powerful quote. I don't know if I shared it with.
Wait. It's coming to me.
Okay. Go ahead.
I know which one you're talking about. It had to do about getting what you want. If you, help me out, Sil.
It's okay. You know what I mean. And that's what the deeper point sunk into you. It's not about remembering the quote. See, and this is important to be aware of, right? We don't
It's not
want to
about what
remember
you can
things.
get, it's about wanting what you can.
Exactly. There
Okay.
you go. Right. So the quote is, it's not about getting what you want. It's about wanting what you can get. Right.
Yes.
And you see, I still have it highlighted from when we shared it, right? And see, I still
Yeah.
have it in my file here. This
You
is
shared this with me.
powerful. This is really
Yeah, and this one is definitely put up here. Yep.
yeah. So this is huge, right? And when you look at this very carefully, this quote could have read, "It's not about getting what you want; it's about wanting what you have." But no, I did not make it this way. It's very important. The difference between wanting what you have and wanting what you can get is a very profound difference. I might not have what I can get, but that I can want what I can get. In other words, I got to move my ass and do something and apply and
Yes.
and make some effort to get what I can get. But this is
Yep.
very important to also understand that if I learn to want what I am able to get, what I can get, there's a very profound difference to just thinking about getting what I want, because I may want nonsense.
Yeah.
Yes,
I may
exactly.
want
And
nonsense. And this,
Yeah.
so often we want stuff that isn't actually possible to get. We actually want square circles, right? We want things that are self-contradictory. Yes. They can't exist. And there's many examples. I don't want to go into all that, but this is part of it. And so it's like worrying. You want something that you can't really get. You want the world to not have danger in it, to not have, well, this is it. It's like wanting the perfect weather to be perfect all the time. Well, your poor farmers are all going to starve then, and so are you. See?
mhm.
So
Yeah.
we want silly things. We don't really think about it. We complain about the weather, and really, this thing with the weather, it's so profound. As you know, Jessica, you not only complain about it, you would rage against it. Okay, you're a very passionate person, so right, but still, it's like, wow,
Oh yeah.
you think about it, it's like, wow, what was I doing? What was I doing? I was trying to, I wanted the impossible, right? You cannot get this idea of perfect weather, makes no sense whatsoever. And if you
No,
actually
it doesn't.
get it, you're going to really complain then, right? So yeah,
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is you can't control the weather. Like it's literally like you cannot. And I have to say that this quote
yeah,
hits differently now than when I first heard it. So
exactly,
just got to put that out there.
exactly.
Because since there was more doors opened for me and more walls knocked down, I'm like, oh,
Yes,
okay.
He has my O.
yes. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Oh, yes. And then look at the next quote there, right? Which followed on from this too. I probably have this elsewhere in my file. Yes, it's a very big file. But I just say it again. Doesn't matter. It always comes out slightly
Yep.
different, but doesn't matter. Once we have understanding, we can let things go.
Absolutely.
It's huge. It's huge, right? So it's not about agreement or disagreement. I don't care two hoots whether you agree with me or don't. And I'm not interested in that. And I'm not trying to get anyone to agree with me. What I am interested in is whether you understand or not. I will continue, and you can ask some of my friends, and I've got evidence that I'll continue for days, weeks, months, years even need to be to get to a point of understanding. I don't let it go till I get there. So yes, to come to understanding is a big, big deal. Changes everything. Then we can let go and move on. right? And this
That's
is huge.
one of the things about the understanding part is, you know, in saying I agree. And I catch myself doing it or wanting to do it also, say it as well as saying I agree. Typically it's because I have nothing else to say about it, and it's resonating in my mind. It's brewing, it's coming up to, you know, forming its own thought, forming its own, you know,
Exactly.
and so that's one habit that I definitely need to break is saying I understand instead of saying, hey, give me a moment. I'm actually
Exactly.
processing.
Right. Exactly. And also to say, I'm thinking about it. I'm processing. I need time to think about it. I want to think about it. You know, it's like, makes sense, but I need to give it some more thought, you know, before I kind of sign off on this, right? I want to think it through to the end. These are all very valid. And also, when we say agree or disagree, most of that comes from a belief that this is what the other person wants to hear. And well,
Right.
you know, okay, some people do want to be agreed with, but am I really doing them a favor by saying, well, I agree, when
No.
no, I
Right.
mean, if I do agree, I'm just furthering this desire for them to get external approval. So I'm not actually being, you know, very nice as a friend to them, right? I'm just furthering this dependence on external approval. So I was like, holy moly, wow, that's kind of deep what you just said there. It's like, oh, now ethics come into, oh, okay, we won't go down that rabbit hole. But you know, when we really, really think about stuff, life opens up and we see that we do a lot of things that are very thoughtless. And what was that point about inadvertency? This is it. We can have inadvertent beliefs. We can cause inadvertent
Yes.
consequences. We can do all sorts of things because of inadvertent. And this is inadvertency, and this is lack of awareness. So we want to be more aware, right? This is why we're here. This is why we're here. We want to be more aware. Very, very,
We
very.
have I wanted to just on those kind of quotes, I just kind of put one together that I think sums it up for me.
Let's see.
I can let go once I acknowledge and accept that I have the ability to change through choice.
See, very cool. Send that to me, please.
Love it.
Send that to me, please. Send that to me, please. I want to actually add it to the program right here. I'll just add it underneath. That's very cool. A very cool quote. So send it anywhere in Zoom chat or in Facebook chat, either way.
Okay, I'll pop it into Facebook, just because it's the easiest to access.
Yeah. You know, however, whatever works, we are very flexible and fluid and adaptable, right?
Yes. All right. What
was saying earlier? Yeah. You know, this is the actual detailed ability to be appropriate, right? We all have an innate sense of appropriateness. We just need to exercise it and bring it forth and practice it. We have this ability. We just need to develop the skills of awareness to see what our motivations are and what the context is. Because if you don't know either of those, you're not going to know how to be appropriate, right? So this appropriateness takes a little bit more. Sometimes it's pretty obvious, but other times not so much. So. Or you wrote it by hand and you typing it now?
No. It's just I had to, you know how Facebook makes you switch your profiles.
Oh,
you can no longer access both of them at the same time.
I know, it's like, come on, Facebook, why did you do this? You make it difficult. Now, what Shir's talking about
dropped it in.
people who don't have it. You see, it gives me switch. I can switch to Nobilia, but you know, it's a pain. It just makes.
I just dropped it in for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem at all.
You know, it's just one of those things. It's like I can appreciate some of the improvements, and others, well, maybe they work for everybody. But yeah, others, especially if you have multiple pages, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, so exactly. So Jessica, there was lots in your post there that you know, it's very powerful stuff. And there was a quote there somewhere that I want to also add in. I'll have to go back and look to it. But this just, you know, since it's very pertinent and powerful, we'll just put it in right now. I have to get back to yours. I have to reread them again also, Jessica. It was very, very cool post. Two of them, very cool posts. Okay, so we're nearly there. I like to add these in because this is a living program. It grows, it goes with us, right? So also
the quote, I apologize. The quote is when let's see, where is it?
Well, copy and paste it, and then I'll
Okay.
add.
Was it the one that says, when this is said out loud, it sounds completely silly?
I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them that can be pulled from that. So as we go through,
There
and
is.
it can be, you know,
Okay, I'll
we'll
choose.
add them as they connect to what we're doing particularly. I mean, you
Yes.
know, yeah. So, yeah, this is very cool. This is very cool. Yeah. This is it. This is it. I mean, you know, this ties in very to this belief and worry point. So probably many quotes from your thing that can be pulled. But if you see one that
There.
is particularly pertinent, let me know and I'll add it in there.
Oh, I find it what she wrote about, you know, can't changing the weather, which she talks about can't changing the weather. I mean, that when we think about that, really, the probability of the outcome of something really drastic, awful, horrible happening that we're worried is going to happen is usually slim to none.
Exactly.
Especially when we know we can influence
Exactly.
the outcome
Exactly.
by our actions.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And you know, you raise the probability and potentiality with your worry and your stress. Oh,
Yes,
being
you
negative.
do. You do. You do. You do. You
When
do.
it comes
Yeah.
to, okay, with the weather, it's now not going to make any difference. But when it comes to people, if I'm worrying you're going to be a jackass, well, then I put the idea into your head that, oh, they think I might be a jackass. Well, what the heck? Man, I wasn't trying to be a jackass. I wasn't intending to be a jackass, but now I'm a little irritated because you thought I was going to be a jackass. Well, now
Yeah.
I'm feeling jackassy because of you put this idea in my head, you see? So you created the very thing that you didn't want with your worry. Now, as a very simple example, but this happens on a regular basis. You know, you expect people to be in a certain way, and then well, okay, and then they fall into line with your expectations. It's very powerful. Now, of course, you can do it the other way around. You can expect positive, and you can very often get this. Now, just because it's a very often doesn't mean that it's always going to be so. I may go into a relation, you know, connection with somebody, an interaction, and have all the positivity and expectations in the world, and they may still not be that way. But I shift the odds in my favor. Plus, I go into it being aware that it can go in any direction. So I don't lock myself in either, right? So you got to believe without believing and accept without accepting. Very profound.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do.
Very profound. It's not either
So
or. It's not either or. Yes, Jessica.
this goes alongside with worry and anxiety, and this is something that I had written. It says worry anxiety is no, sorry, I apologize. I have had this theory ever since Cher and I had spoke about it. The theory is all my ailments, cancer, depression, renal disease, heart issues, digestive issues, physical pain, trigeminal issues, migraines, pancreatic issues are all of my worries and anxieties in physical form.
There you go.
They
There
are.
you go.
Why do you think I'm losing weight now?
Yes. Yes.
I'm shedding it. I'm shedding all of that worry, all of that anxiety, all the crap that I've held for years. Yes, we can let it go psychologically and emotionally,
Yes.
but then it also, we retain it physically for protection.
Yes. Yes. And putting that armor on and safety and comfort and a buffer zone and all sorts of things. Right.
Yep.
Very profound.
Yep.
However, that armor, you know, for protection is also our demise.
Yes.
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 It
Exactly.
is. It is. Wait, it's only as good. And what is that still? It's only as good as long as it lasts.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. It's only as good as it lasts. Right. 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 Yeah.
Yes.
Very powerful understanding.
But,
It served
yes,
the
and it was
purpose, but no longer now. Changes.
yes. And that's the thing too, is that, you know, when Cher and I talked about it a while ago, you know, because we were talking about, you know, my cancer and all that stuff, and she had came up with the idea, like, have you ever thought, it was just a question, but it really made me think, have you ever thought that maybe your cancer is a result of your worry and anxiety? That you created it because you were holding it in so much?
Yeah.
And that really, really made me think about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. It is in physical form now because I never released it.
Yes. Yes. Now, I just want to add a caution here, right? Yes, there is a very clear relationship between our feelings, our beliefs, our understandings, our thoughts, our ideas, our habits, and our practices, and how they materialize in the body, right? Well, the field of medicine is called psychosomatics. Yes. Now, does
Yes,
that
it is.
mean that we are always as a result of this? No. Can
No.
external things affect you? Yes, of course. You know, I mean, there's
Oh,
many
yeah.
things that are so we're not saying that every single thing is because of what you think. However, all right. So the viruses, you know, COVID is a virus, the flu virus. This is an external thing that comes into you. That can affect you whether you want to or not. However, if you are in a state of good health and you have a good immune system, the chances of being affected by external things are less. Not necessarily zero, but less. Yes. So there is
Also,
a relationship nonetheless, right? So very important to be aware of this.
yes, and worry and anxiety can actually, it really can truly, not actually, it really can truly also affect your immune system. You
Oh,
can have a clean
absolutely.
bill of health,
Oh,
Yeah.
and it could really, your immune system can take a hit.
exactly.
And what I was talking about in my realization and understanding was specific to me.
Exactly.
Because I was a very healthy person, others aside from using and stuff, but um but I realized that, hey, the more I worried, the more heartburn I have,
Right.
the more things like that,
Exactly.
and I'm like, oh well, that makes a lot of sense now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a contributing factor, and it's very, very, very powerful contributing factor. Yes. So again, I'd just like to practice that discernment so that we don't get, say people say, oh, you know what, all diseases aren't because of your beliefs and your feelings and stuff. No, we're not saying that. We are saying they can be a very profound influence, a massive, massive, huge influence, right? So, and also when you pay attention to like things we say, like, oh, you know what, he's being eaten up inside. We don't mean it literally, but sometimes that is literal, like cancer, you're being eaten up from inside. But when you think of it in the figurative sense, anxiety, worry, stress, botheration, whatever, stuff that eats at you, unresolved issues, in other words, right? Why did that expression come about? Because people saw the correlation between the diseases and the psychological aspects, right? So the figurative and the literal, very, very much connected, right? And many expressions like that, where the actual physical thing correlates with the figurative expression. It's very, very powerful too. And so it's probably something that I should actually write down and put a little book out on it. There's a profoundness that we can learn when we actually listen to the things that we say like that. Those things that
Yeah.
we mean literally. I mean, figuratively, they also apply literally, and vice versa. Very, very useful, very powerful. I remember this one time with the expression, wrapped up in yourself, right? And somebody was saying with massage, like if you put your hands on the side of somebody's rib cage and you kind of pull out, right, and you kind of expand them, then you unwrapping them, as it were, and how this was a very profound relief for people who were kind of wrapped up in themselves. There's a physical correlation. That expression, oh, he's wrapped up in himself. It has a physical meaning. And just one example, there's tons of these. It's like all of them are like this. It's really, really amazing. Really amazing. So very cool, very cool.
Wow.
Some of them, they may make you scratch your head a little bit, but okay.
It does. It does.
Yeah, yeah. So we're still on assumptions of probability and potentiality. And note well, it's assumptions. Now, most of the time we assume. Sometimes we have the ability to assign more accurately, but still, it's still an assumption of some kind, right?
Yeah, because
Of
there's very
course,
little that's fact.
right. Right, exactly. So I mean, yeah, actually, just my brain, I wasn't reading the text here. I was just going by, extending on from the last one. But of course, that's how this came about. So of course, you read, please, Jessica. You read.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Read unmuted.
Assumptions.
I mean, sorry, just I have to be more. Well, I think I have to be more clear, right, sir? Stipulate.
No, you're okay. Of course,
Yeah.
sometimes a coming something is negative and thus is a valid worry. Worry here is still the somewhat exclusive focus on the negative aspects of the issue or matter. Worry and
Right.
anxiety is thus insisting that the negative is all there is to what's coming.
Right, right. It's insisting. It's like, hang on, no. Don't be insisting. Don't be insisting. Yeah.
Right. And if we go back to, the news yesterday, Jessica, I'm just thinking, all right, yeah, there was a cause to be worried,
Yeah.
but not fully worried. There was a cause to look at caution, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
sometimes also when you say it out loud to somebody,
Yeah.
especially when sometimes it even takes more than one person to say, to say it out loud to,
Yes.
in order for you to have a different perspective on it. And, it, there was cause to be cautious. However, there's also, always some sort of solution.
Yeah.
More than what we feel that we have.
Mhm.
And that's the thing is like, when we get into that mode, we become blinded to other solutions. And it helps just to have, other people to kind of be like, hey, this is what I'm worried about, this is what's going on, this is what I'm thinking. And then, you can gain their perspective on it as well. That's why, I don't just talk to one person about something that I'm going through. I talk to multiple people just to kind of gain a different perspective, more choices. And I recently started doing that, instead of,
Right.
you know, uh, but I think that, you know, in the end, I'm pretty sure that you can definitely, I guess attest to this, that in the end things work out and they always do. And, you know, just in everything that, we've been through, you've been through, things like that, like everything works out the way it's supposed to in the end. And, things happen, and reason being is because it is the universe's way of testing our knowledge and our ability of what we've learned from it,
Right.
and
But
that was a
and I
test
do,
for you.
yeah, and I do want to say this because I feel like it has to be said. Um, I am not one of those types of people, and I'm sure there's many others that feel this way. But in the moment, when something happens in that moment, you're either anxious, you're worried, you're looking at the negative, you're concerned. I mean, I feel like that's by and large human nature.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
It's a
So
function of
it's
your
going to
goodness.
happen,
It's a function of your
right?
goodness.
Right. So it's going to happen. We're just, but it's what we choose to do about it. I feel like is where we're going with all of this. We can, the way I like to see it work for myself is I accept and I acknowledge that, yep, okay, this is what I'm feeling. What is it going to get me if I continue to feel this way? And then I can start to look at the perspective shifting part. I can just remember to flow with it as it passes, as I am looking at my options and alternatives and solutions. And so then at the end, it all kind of comes together. I've gotten rid of the anxiety and the worry. At the same time, I've come up with solutions, or I've talked to other people, and then I can work through it. I can feel better about it. But immediately, no, I used to think, why I'm bringing this up is because I used to think, well, how can people just not be worried about stuff that happens to them? How are they so calm?
Yeah.
I don't think they actually are.
Right.
I just think that they have found a process and a way to process it for themselves that gets them
Oh,
through those tough moments.
oh,
Exactly.
definitely. I agree, Cher, that, I mean, worry and anxiety is definitely when it comes to situations that are warranted to feel worry and anxiety. That's the first initial feeling. It's that first initial freak out moment, essentially. And then, and I do agree, or I do understand, not agree. I do understand where you're coming from. Because when you say it's about how we handle it, how we choose to handle it, how we choose to open ourselves up to new beliefs, to new choice, to more choices,
Exactly.
and stuff like that. And that what you said was very, I would have to say, was very profound, or is very profound, not was. um Reason being is because it does make a lot of sense. You know, it really does.
Huge. Changes a lot of things. Sure.
Thank you.
Would you
Yes, sir.
say, and you, Jessica, when you paying attention, like sure you said, well, I can sort of feel it's my nature. Well, or it's just, long entrenched habit. Okay, some habits are so deep that changing them takes a lot of effort, but you don't always need to change them. Right? You don't need to stop this train that's going. All you need to do is shunt it a little bit, and shunting takes very little energy, right? You just pull that little
Yes.
lever and you move the little thing, and wow, this massive, great big, huge thing weighing thousands of tons, this unstoppable force. There you go, you move it. It doesn't even know it's been shifted. Right. So
Yes.
when it comes with deep entrenched habits, we don't always have to stop them and change them. We can sometimes just shunt them. And that's what we're doing, right? With the water train. Right? You shunted it, right? And you said, okay, now the key question that you ask without asking it is, am I getting value and usefulness from the worry?
Right. And that's usually what I ask is, what is it getting me?
Exactly. When you say, what is this getting me? It's saying, where is this useful and value? And the value. And when we ask that question, not just of anxiety and worry, but of things in general, oh my goodness, everything changes. Everything changes.
It does. Even if it's slow. There are slow shifts, and that slow is okay.
Exactly.
This isn't a race.
Exactly. Because think of that train now again, right? We're trying to turn around this train. The train is going full speed and it's going like crazy. I don't have the energy to stop it or whatever, but I'm shunting it. So to turn it around, the faster it's going, the longer that turn is going to take, right? Because it has to be a gentle turn, otherwise it'll run itself off the rails. Yes.
Right.
So it's a very powerful analogy, and that's why it takes a bit of extra time sometimes, because it's a big, powerful, heavy train, a lot of momentum, a lot of speed, right? So
So there's actually something I wrote that correlates with fueling that anxiety and worry. So if you don't mind, I'd like to share it.
Please, absolutely. Oh no, that's
okay.
Careful to share as appropriate. Share. It's all about sharing. Yep.
Who is my yellow? A yellow is someone who kept you going even when you felt like giving up. They are your solid foundation. I can confidently say I am my yellow. First and foremost. I say this because although many people have encouraged me to keep fighting, to stay alive, ultimately it was my choice to truly keep going. To never give up on seeking a better and meaningful life. Yellow is the flame that resides inside of me. Yellow is my eternal light. It is my beacon. Acknowledging my yellow means to be aware of it, to be aware of what I choose to feed it so it can stay lit. I can choose to feed it anger, fear, anxiety, worry, and ill belief systems, which ultimately will turn into a raging inferno. Or I can feed it awareness, discernment, and understanding, and everything that comes with it. And that flame will be tame. Be aware of what you choose to feed your yellow, because in the end, we will get burned by our choices in fuel, or we can enjoy the warmth and security of our yellow.
Yes. Very profound. I like this concept of being your yellow. That's very cool.
I love it, for one, and for two, how did you come up with the question, who is my yellow? That's really cool.
I heard it somewhere and I didn't listen to the rest of it.
Right.
Because I wanted to come up with my own thoughts and beliefs on it. I didn't want it to be influenced by,
cool. I mean, the idea that we have a color. That's really beautiful.
Yeah. So I have another quote somewhere, and it's in Way-of-Impeccability, and I may have quoted it. It may be in this program as well. I think so. Right. This concept that you're saying, somebody, I can just hear somebody objecting, somebody who like me grew up with a big fear of being egotistical, and say, oh, but you just thinking you're running away with yourself, but it's like you can do everything and blah blah blah. No, that's not what it means at all, right? And it doesn't mean also, this being your own yellow, that you mustn't get help and you can't get help from others and get assistance and collaboration. No, it doesn't mean that at all, right? And no matter what, the point I want to make is, no matter what, at some point you have to be your yellow. Why? Because no matter how much somebody is helping you and giving you advice, you have to decide to listen to them and to hear what's being said. You have to process it and act on it. That's you and you alone. So no matter how much you may be clueless and need help, you still need to listen to it and hear it and ask for it and be aware that it's there, right? So you can't
Yes.
remove your decision at any point, right? You can't do it without this. Otherwise, you're going to say, well, you know what? I'm going to go for, like, I don't know, brainwashing and be changed. Is that what you want? Well, no, right? So
Yes, and that's why I said, although many people have encouraged me and, helped give me the, tools, it's ultimately up to me whether I want to, what I choose to feed, my yellow with,
Exactly. It's ultimately up to me what I choose to feel. Yes. Oh, yeah. Hang on. We're gonna get Cheryl yet. Just come on Zoom, Cheryl. That's how, like you've done 100 times before. She's saying she's not sure how. Yeah. Let me just get her the link here. So brilliant.
Ooh.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. There you go, Cheryl. There you go.
I just really like that idea of a color.
Yes. This is very cool. And I love this too, that it connects to this deeper point, which is that we have to, because like you said, a lot of people encouraged you, right, Cheryl? I mean, Jessica?
Yes, a lot of people have encouraged me. I still do have a lot of support. Um, However, it's ultimately always up to me whether or not I want to open up my mind and to more, to, accept and acknowledge and understand that. And to also accept my moreness and, take it and run with it, and otherwise, that's the thing, is what's help without, you know even accepting it or even trying to understand it, like you're still stuck in your bubble and there's no point.
Exactly. Now, very important point here. You were encouraged in throughout all your life. Yes.
I have.
Did you always listen to it?
Nope, I did not.
My point, is that you had the potential, since we're talking about potentialities, right? You had the potential to listen to it, but you didn't. Why? You didn't. It was your choice to listen to it. So all that encouragement, at the end, it was you that decided to respond to it. You decided. See, you cannot ever get away from this me decide, right? It's very, very powerful. So
It is very
very,
powerful
very
because
important.
nobody else can decide for you.
No.
Nobody else can do it for you. You have to do it. And that's one thing I also had to learn, also early on in my, addiction recovery, is that, nobody else could get me clean and sober. I had to do it.
Exactly.
I had supports, I had encouragement, I had positive influences, but it was up to me whether or not I truly, if it was something I was ready to do. And I took that support and I took that, the encouragement and things like that. And I ran with it and I made myself,
Yeah.
believe that it's possible.
Yeah.
I can get clean and sober.
I think it came when you started believing in self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. And you know, because I used to always, when I first got clean, I used to, you know, always base that upon, well, I'm doing this for my son. I'm doing this for my son. And I'm doing this for everybody that, you know, because I didn't truly feel at that point in time that I deserved to do it for myself. And so go ahead.
Oh, go. Carry on. Just like I
And
did.
so when you know, when I finally understood that, you know, I do deserve this. I do deserve it to do it for myself, because guess what? Those people that I was trying, that, you know, I wanted to do it for, like my family, my son, you know, friends,
Yeah.
though they can go, they can come and go. If you put that pressure on them, then that's also putting it's being unfair to them. It is putting up to them to a standard
Yeah.
that you should be putting on yourself, not them.
Exactly. Brilliant. Cheryl has joined us. Very cool point. Jessica. Very big deal. Cheryl, magical Cheryl, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, it's wonderful. You've been listening on, so we don't need to catch you up, right?
That's right. I've been listening.
Oh, wonderful. All right. But before we go any further, just hold that pose right there with the light on off your face. Don't move. No, don't move. Look, you'll see now why. Right, don't move. See the picture? See? Looks like Cheryl. Right. All right, without the glass.
Ah,
Yeah. Will you
It
read the
does.
quote for us, please, Cheryl? Will you read the quote, please?
sometimes our feelings give us permission to think too hard and too far based on the intensity of what we are feeling.
By who? Who said that? You're gonna read the whole thing.
Cheryl enabled.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. Wonderful. Can you elaborate a bit on this, please, Cheryl? Right. By the way, anybody who sees me eating, don't think I'm being rude. Well, maybe, but I don't mean to be. It's just that I'm paying attention to my energy management and blood sugar levels. And this stuff, it takes a lot of energy, at least for me, you know. So I get very hungry doing it. If I don't eat, then I go down. So it just is what it is. And too bad if you think it's rude free. So be it. But yeah, please elaborate on that, please, Cheryl. Please.
I'm sorry, say that again, Sil.
Just elaborate on your quote.
Okay. Because when our feelings are very strong about something, we give ourselves permission to act or react because we feel so strongly. And with practice, it doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly.
And it's most often is not going to give you the end result or the satisfaction or whatever that you're seeking. I think I've achieved satisfaction when I'm trying to sort through a certain feeling by perspective shifting.
Yes.
And trying to see it from a different angle, trying to concentrate on how I can use this feeling as leverage to get me to a better place.
Yes. Very
Yeah,
well.
and I mean, and in this case, I'm talking about strong feelings that aren't particularly positive.
Yes. Can you give us examples, please, if possible?
Sure. Give me a moment. Yeah, I'm thinking, okay, something happens in your workplace that really fires you up. It really gets under your skin. And you want to react. You've given yourself permission now to, hey, wait, this is wrong. I've been wronged. I need to react. And that's not so.
Yeah. It's a belief.
It's almost never going to give you the result you're looking for.
It's a belief that you used to carry around with you, yes?
Oh my gosh, I was just the poster child.
I'm supposed to react. I'm supposed to get crazy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. I was known as being a very feisty person. And case in point, my son once said to my father when he was maybe in his 20s, Greg and I were going back and forth about something. And he said, you know, Dad, you'll never win an argument with her if she's convinced she's right.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of that.
Boy, that sounds like somebody else I know.
Right? Until I looked at it from a different perspective and said, wait a minute, I don't want to be that person.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to be that person that has a certain feeling or a belief and just hangs on to it regardless of any other perspective or any other point of view.
Yes.
I want to be mature. I want to be educated enough to say, okay, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Let's talk about this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you say feisty, I'm assuming that's a bit of a euphemism, just a little teeny bit.
What do you mean?
Well, a nice way of saying, when you say feisty, it's a very gentle, kind way of saying what actually sometimes you may have been. Yes.
An asshole.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I prefer the word passionate.
Right. But again, we're being real here, right? So this is very important to understand. Yes, I appreciate the use of words, but this is thing that so I'm thinking of somebody watching the replay or listening to this to say, we're not looking to fudge things here, people. Yes, we are being polite. But at times, Cheryl, me, Jessica, we've been jackasses, assholes, knuckleheads, nincompoops, fools, idiots.
Absolutely. I mean, how do you grow if you can't admit to that once in a while? I mean, really.
Exactly. And this is the point of your quote. Right? Go ahead, Jessica. Go ahead.
Oh, I said nailed it. But Cheryl, this is something that when you were talking about the workplace and, also, if you can't win an argument if she's convinced she's right.
Yeah.
So this brought me back to something that I wrote down while I was in session earlier with Sil. When you lash out in anger, it causes others to lash back out at you.
Exactly.
Therefore, each party is only concerned about being the only one, quote unquote, right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to be the last lash standing. But dude,
yeah. And it reminds me of another quote that I saw on Sassy was, if you think you've won an argument, you've both lost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's no way
I love that quote.
A war. There's no way to win a war. Both lose. A war is by definition mutual loss. That's what the war is. Right? So no way to win a war. No way to win a war. Yeah. Very powerful. But the point that you make here too, Cheryl, that's why the quote is in here. It's a very deep, profound quote, right? It's permission, first of all, right? That permission is related to a belief, right? To think too hard and too far. In other words, we give ourselves permission to go to extremes because of the intensity of what we're feeling. We think the intensity justifies extreme, and excess breeds excess. Right? This is to encapsulate your quote and say it, say it in a different way, right? Excess breeds excess. So we think we entitled to be extreme because our original intensity of our feeling, man, that made me so mad. Well, you don't have to. It's an idea, it's a belief, right? But this is the relationship between the two. One gives rise to the other, and you get the spiral that happens as a result, right? But
I feel like that can be translated over to worry and anxiety too.
Absolutely.
It's a natural, a connection there. In theory.
Exactly. Which is very, very key, right? So we feel the intensity of the worry. Oh my God, the world's going to end. Oh, the sky's going to fall on my head. It's a very intense feeling. Okay.
I have to protect myself. I'm in danger. This is not going to work out well for me. I've got to do something.
Exactly. Very good internal dialogue of worry and anxiety. Now, this is very intense, but here's the key. Your quote says that intensity has given you permission to go too far and too hard because of the intensity. So the one is giving right to the other. In other words, we get a feeling and a belief loop, which is what this quote is in the feeling and belief program, right? You know, this is it, feeling and believing. It's this direct correlation between the two. The one justifies the other. And this is absolutely applies to anxiety and worry. Yes, yes, yes. Very much so.
Well, I was just a baby back then too.
Yes.
I was really in the beginning.
You're just a little baby, right? Yeah. We're always babies, you know. And
that's why I also really related to that quote, Cheryl, is just because there's so many countless times that's exactly what I used to do, but not really knowing it, if that makes sense. Like, I wasn't aware that was what I was doing.
A lot of it you don't recognize it until the next day when you're like thinking back on it, like, oh wow, did I do that? Yeah. I was an asshole. Yeah.
I know, but you need to try and.
Oh, go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I forgot I wasn't on mute. I was talking to you.
Well, I'm keen to hear about you on the important point here that Jessica and Cheryl are saying. I'm just going to put it into a conception, and that is immersion bubbles. If you'd share a bit about immersion bubbles, please share.
I got to pop my bubble first. Let me break that bubble, and then I'll be right with you.
Do you have some strong needles, Mom?
What's that?
Do you have some strong needles on hand?
Oh yeah, no, I don't have any needles at all. You know that.
No sewing needles, nothing?
Yeah, he's like, no. He's like, all right, immersion bubbles. Stay away from them. Do you want a tip, or do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want actually, immersion bubbles, you will, you know, they're like an infinity loop. Yes, they are a bubble. It's just this pervasive belief that nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to get better. It's whatever you believe at that moment. And when you're stuck in it, you're stuck in it. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit of, this is where I feel like it's really, really helpful to have somebody else point out to you.
Exactly. Sure. I was just wondering, sure, how do you recognize when you're in a bubble? I don't.
Sometimes
People like have to point it out to me.
Sometimes I can, and it hasn't happened very often, but the times that I have, I was really proud of myself for doing that.
Absolutely.
It usually happens after a severe reaction I've had to something, and when I stop and go, whoa, where did that come from? And then I start pulling it apart and going, oh, well, this is interesting. Here I am sitting in this great big glass bubble. Other times it comes from somebody pointing out something that I wrote, or a trend that they're seeing.
Patterns.
There you go. Patterns. And then, you know, they're cool about it. They're just like, well, have you considered this? That would either be Jessica that would mention it, Bina, Sil, you know, one of my other good friends. So just ask me a question, and then it shifts everything. So, yeah. And I don't know if any of that was on track what you guys were talking about. I was
it certainly is. Absolutely. Thank you.
A young one. It was needing to eat. So
brilliant. Yeah, you know, this stuff takes a lot of energy, and it's good to recognize that and be aware of it. So for me, you know, I make an effort to and you say, well, can't you eat ahead of time? Well, ahead of time, I'm not hungry. And I'm not hungry. And then that's a very bad habit to get into, is to eat when you're not hungry. So
I just wish that for me, I recognize an immersion when, let's say I do something and I go, geez, I'm never doing that again. Now that's it. That's the last time. And then I do it again.
Right. Okay.
There is another way that I recognize it. And Sil brought it up earlier. He talked about semantics, or somatic. I mean, not semantics, but somatic illnesses.
Psychosomatics, yes. Mind.
Right, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I taught myself, you know, a lot about the mind, body, and spirit connection. And I really got into that, and I still am. But I notice in my own body, I'm very attuned to my body now. Very, really aware of it. When I start feeling certain things, joints hurting, headaches are very rare for me now.
Interesting.
When my spine hurts, when anything in my body changes and it hurts, including, and I don't want to get gross, but we all have a scent of our own, right? And you just know when it changes.
Yeah.
So when that shifts, when it changes, I'm going, something's off, something's wrong.
Right.
And then I have to start checking emotionally, psychologically, what's going on in my world.
Yeah.
That's how I know when I'm usually stuck in a bubble someplace.
Mm. Okay.
All right. So very
Paying
important.
attention to your body is key.
Cheryl brings up a huge point. How do you know when you're in an immersion bubble? This is one of the most difficult things to do. And it's also one of the most, like, bit of a conundrum to like, man, I don't want to be in immersion bubbles, but when I'm in them, I don't know I'm in them, and then I can't do anything about it because I don't know, because I'm caught in the bubble. This is why it's so dangerous. So I've got to, so please make a note here. I've got a couple of techniques we can do here, right?
Right.
First one is to answer our questions we ask of ourselves, or things we say, right? Rhetorical, self-expressed questions. Like, how many times haven't you said, oh, what am I thinking? Answer that question. Make a habit of answering that question, because typically when you're in an immersion bubble, you're going to say things like that, right? So this habit that you get into of answering your own rhetorical questions, not meant to be answered, you're saying them, just saying it, but you actually answer them. It pops you, right? So it's a bubble popping mechanism. Yes. So this is a very, and also when you really answer that question, what was I thinking? Oh, I was actually being a jackass. I wasn't thinking, I was assuming, I was jumping to conclusions, blah, blah, blah. When you actually answer it thoroughly, properly, you're going to be like, holy moly, and you're going to come to understanding. And through that understanding, you're going to change, right? Because that's why you ask those questions, because it's a question that doesn't have an answer yet. And you need to, it's like your subconscious giving you a clue. Hey, get a clue. You need to answer this question. Very, very powerful. All right.
And really quick, how I know that I'm in an emotional bubble is, I feel like my brain is detached from my body and I'm essentially free floating. And things in my mind become very chaotic, very jumbled. And so that's how I recognize that I'm in an emotional bubble. And, you know, I need to work on getting out of it and, you know, finding ways to get out of it. Reason being is just because that does, it can prevent me from truly wanting, you know, to go further and working on myself. It can stop me. So,
I appreciate that, Jessica. I don't want to lose my train here because I want to share a couple of points, right? So this kind of ties to the first one, and it's a nice extension on it, which is association management, right? So if you can start to associate, like for instance, learn to associate when you ask that question to actually answer it, that will pop you. Also, when you practice associating your physical habits, right? And you say, well, when I do things, whatever it is, and I associate it with something else, you can learn to reassociate that. And through that reassociation, it can also pop you out. Because now, when you're doing the things that you normally do, something else comes into your mind because you've made the effort to associate it, and this brings something new. But I want to share some other tools we can use that are a little easier to do. So the next one is to get into the habit of like paying attention to what you actually say, right? Well, that's
journaling.
Right. So absolutely listening to yourself and realize that what you say has power over you. Simple things like, well, you know, I'm such a worry pot. You keep saying that and you're going to be one, and you're just going to keep entrenching it, right? So actually listening to yourself. When you're in a bubble, typically you're talking the biggest load of crap under the sun, right? So if you get into the habit of actually listening to what you say, this is a way to get out of a bubble. Now, the next step, of course, is listening to what you think. So, holy moly, what do you mean listening to what you think? Isn't when I'm thinking, listening? No, that's just thinking. You can be swirling around and looping and buzzing. When you listen, you develop that external perspective, a secondary perspective. Here's my thinking, here's me listening to it. This is why writing things out and doing a takeaway, coming on Zoom and sharing a repeat back and a takeaway is so powerful, because you get to hear your own thinking. And this is incredibly powerful. This is exactly what a loop is. It's when we go from being more than one to just one, right? When you one, you have no perspective. You don't get to see yourself from anywhere else. And whatever you're doing, you're just doing it kind of in an unawarenessness, which is what an immersion bubble is. It's an unawareness. And you've lost your ability to hear yourself. And when you hear yourself and listen to yourself, you can see things from a different angle, and you don't lose that perspective. You don't lose yourself inside the bubble, right? So to practice not only listening to what you say, which is profoundly valuable, because when you say something, you're going to try and make it true. Why? Because you're a genuine, honest person. You don't want to go around being a phony and a bullshitter. So you're going to try and make it true. So be very careful what you say. Likewise with what you think. But when you're saying it, you're actualizing it, you're putting it into action. Your brain says, oh, you must really mean this because you're saying it or writing it or acting.
Very interesting. So
very powerful, right? Okay.
Yeah, very powerful.
So this is a second tool, listening to what you say, and by extension to also listening to your own thoughts, right? Because sometimes when you really listen to our thoughts, like writing them out, that's listening to your thoughts. It's like, wow, man, what on earth was going in there? It all seemed so plausible when I was thinking it, but now that I kind of say it or write it out, it's like, no, not so much at all. It's a lot of crap, right? Immersion bubble, immersion bubble, immersion bubble. So a third tool for getting out of immersion bubbles, particularly immersion bubbles of annoyance, irritation, anger, right, which suck you in, and these involve other people, is to practice the habit of anticipation. I cannot emphasize how powerful this is. Now, what I mean by anticipation is just running a little bit ahead. Okay, you probably have some friends who, when you watch a murder mystery, right, they're anticipating what's coming ahead, and they say, well, you know what, this is okay. When watching a murder mystery, sometimes it may be a bit annoying, but sometimes it's kind of fun too, because, well, I like to do it this for my own pleasure. I like to see if I can figure out what's going to happen, right? This is part of the joy of
I do too. I do too.
Doing that. Do it with your daily life. In any conversation, see if you can anticipate where it's going, what's going to come next, right? And a lot of things, I don't know exactly what you're going to say, but, well, it's sort of obvious when you start anticipating where this is going, right? So we get into a different mindset, and this can have practical benefits. Next time you walk to your car, practice anticipation. When do you take your keys out? Jessica, when you walk to your car, when do you take your keys out? Sure.
I don't have to.
I don't either.
Okay, Miss Smarty Pants. If you had keys.
We have key fobs. We don't take them out of our purse.
Right. Yeah, they're automatic starts. Okay, so before though, I always used to have my keys in my hand, like after I left the store or after I left the house. The keys would always be
like immediately.
Right.
Yes.
Why? Because you're anticipating. Yes.
Well, yeah.
Right. Now, for people who don't anticipate, they walk up to the door and then, oh, I need my keys, and they put their hand in the key and then take it out. Right. This is or a door, front door. You walk right up to it, and it's like, man, if you just anticipated 2 seconds, you wouldn't be standing there for another half a minute scratching in your bag. You could have done that while you were walking, right, and save some time. Right. So anticipation has profound value. Well, actually, I mentioned this thing with the key in the car because from a mugger point of view, that's one of the times where when you get mugged in the parking lot. They wait until you get to the car door and your attention is now on your bag, and that's when they get you, right? Because they know you consumed in that. Now, if you were anticipating and you're walking there, you're not there in your car between the other cars, you're not going to have that problem because you're going to get to the car and put the key in, right? So that there's an actual practical thing. All right, maybe mugging in the parking lots aren't such a big deal anymore, but at one time they were, right? So I'm just saying, anticipation, it changes much. You go into a business meeting, and if you're always reacting in the moment, you're behind the curve. You need to anticipate. You need to be ahead of the curve. So this is how we see bubbles coming. Yes. Well, okay, I see Bay, and I'm checking. Well, I see, okay, Bay is starting to get that twitch. That eye is starting to scrunch up, right? And it's like, what does that tell you what's coming, Cheryl?
I don't know.
No? Okay, well, for most people, they recognize some kind of symptom of when their partner, bae, whoever, however you want to call them, right, is their loved one, their spouse is starting to get stressed and bothered and upset, right?
Oh, okay. I see what
So
you're
that's my
saying.
point. So
I
when you
wasn't
see that
following.
eye scrunching or that jaw clenching or whatever the thing is,
Okay. I thought maybe he was having a stroke. I don't know.
well, that may be too. But my point is that if we're anticipating, right, and I'm seeing this, I can see the warning signs. And because here's the thing, if I can see it coming, I can deal with it, right? I mean, think of it this way. Again, you're at work and the boss, and I'm busy working away, and suddenly the boss starts crapping on my head. I freak out. I'm like, you just react and respond, right? But if I see the boss coming across the floor there and I see them on a, oh, boss is in the mood. Okay, well, they're heading my way. Oh, crap. I've done something and whatever. You're ready for it. And because you're ready for it, you can deal with it a lot better. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my point. See the power of anticipation. It's into bubbles by being taken unawares, by being surprised, by being unprepared. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what do I do? Oh, what the hell do I do now? Ah, it's panic time, right?
And that ties into like the anticipation is important because then you're not like triggered into, it leads back to what we were talking about before.
Exactly.
If you anticipate what's going to happen, you can also anticipate your response.
Exactly. This is exactly the mechanism for anti-triggering. Absolutely. When you anticipate and you see it coming, well, triggering is when it just happens of its own accord. But if you see that, oh, well, then you can't really be triggered. You can't actually deliberately be triggered. Can you? Sure, Jessica?
No.
Nope.
No.
No.
Right.
No.
So this is it.
If you've got time to prepare and time to
Exactly.
and time to go, okay, wait a minute. I feel that old Cheryl coming through. She wants she wants to load both barrels.
Exactly.
I do that. I know that feeling. Yep.
Right?
Exactly. So it's an A term, right? This is why the A+ philosophy, like awareness, yes, and appropriateness, attunement, application.
Yes.
Well, here's another one, and
The ketchup song.
it's super strong, right? And it's a magical skill that you want to, everybody wants to be smarter. Well, there you go. Practice anticipation. You're going to become smarter overnight. I promise you. Really,
something that
Carol King, Anticipation. I'm sorry, the song keeps going through my head now.
Right. What song is that, sir? What song is that?
From Carol King, Anticipation. It was an old 1970s song. Remember the ketchup song?
I remember Carol King, but I don't remember the song specifically.
Okay, well, no, Heinz Ketchup, they paid to use her song in their commercial of how slow the ketchup is. Anticipation. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, now I can't get the song out of my head.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you guys were talking about anticipating, and I believe it was Cheryl, sorry, I had to step away for a moment because I had to sign for a piece of mail, but I came in when Cheryl was talking about how you can even anticipate, your own triggers. And if you have time to do that, then, and how you're going to respond to it. Something that came to mind when I thought about this, like, when you're already, just like Cheryl says, like when you have time to already anticipate your reaction to a trigger, or even anticipate it being a trigger, you have time to actually to reset it and to choose whether what perspective you want to see it as. And in reality, we do trigger our own selves, because there's been so many times where I've anticipated like an argument with somebody and how I was going to respond, and I got myself riled up, just because I'm like, oh, this is how it's going to go, and I'm just going to, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So we were using this anticipation to get even ahead of that, right?
That's right. That's right.
To get ahead of ourselves too. Now, I would recommend here, right, as an exercise, take your rest of your day now and practice anticipation, and do it for as long as until this becomes sort of a habit, right? But do it in every single little action. Okay, so I'm walking to the sink and I'm going to do the dishes, right? Typically, you'll just walk and you start doing them. But if you anticipate, well, what the hell? So, what is there to anticipate here? Well, if you're walking to the sink, anticipating going to do the dishes, you say, well, what's there to really do and deal? I think, however, you could say, but well, now that I think of it, typically I just go and I do it and I use whatever the default mood is. Okay, I either enjoy it or I don't like it or whatever. But now that I'm anticipating it, I realize, I get to choose my mood. How I'm going to do the dishes. Oh, holy moly. Wow, wow, wow. See, so even in very trivial things, this anticipation changes the ball game, right? You don't just default to doing with whatever mood, with whatever reaction, with whatever attitude. When you anticipate, you get to choose. Yeah. So
Yes.
apply it with every single little action.
Well, now that
let's hear from Sher. Let's hear from Sher, because here we got an aha there. I want to hear this aha.
But now you have actually, if you anticipate, you have actually shifted the probability and potentiality of the outcome happening.
Exactly. You've shifted it in your favor because you've enabled yourself to choose, right? And to have opportunity to choose. And with anticipation, we really understand this, right? We're talking about microseconds sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like Data famously said, a second is an eternity to the positronic brain.
Okay.
I don't know if that's my Data voice or not.
Nice impression. I was going to say, nice impression.
Yeah, well, I didn't get it.
Right. Well, I'd rather make the point that a second is a very long time, right?
Okay.
So when we anticipate, we just need those fractions of a second sometimes, or sometimes it's a few literal seconds. Sometimes it can be minutes, hours, days, doesn't matter. But anticipation in the moment, when you practice this, you want to change your brain to live with constant anticipation. Why? Because it's making you aware. That's really the bottom line. You're breaking out of just reacting. When we anticipate, we can respond.
Yeah.
Very
nice.
I choose. Response is choice. Reaction is choiceless. Yeah. When
I have a question, so.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so when I feel very unmotivated, highly unmotivated, that is also another what most people would call depression. Me, I call it very unmotivated.
Brilliant.
So
That's exactly
when I'm feeling that way, and I know that there's housework that needs to be done, things like that. But what I do is I get up and I start the small things, start cleaning it, but in my mind, do I really at the time, in the beginning, do I really want to do it? No. But then I think about, well, a clean house is also going to help me, feel at ease. It's going to help me feel more energized. It's going to help me feel more, connected. It's going to help a lot. So I automatically did that anticipation without thinking I did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the fourth point, that when I said when Cheryl brought up, how do you know you're in an emotion bubble, and tools that we can use to it. So the fourth one is slippery slopes. Yes. So slippery slopes are very, very tied to anticipation. So the key with slippery slopes is to realize that whenever you get into an emotion bubble, it started with that first step on the slippery slope. And then, when you still, you got one foot is stable and the other foot is sliding a bit. And if you can learn to recognize that first step, that's when you turn around. Right? Typically, we tend to sort of ignore it. And then it goes step 2, and that's too late. By that time, you're already sliding down the slope, right?
Right.
So particularly with depression and anger, these two are absolutely crucial. That there is that first little half step when the foot that's in front is feeling a bit unstable. That's when you turn around. Not when it's already a problem. That's too late, right? So through anticipation, I get to see that slippery slope, or recognize when I'm feeling unstable, because I might not know I'm walking down the slope and it's all fine. But if I'm anticipating and paying attention, which means I'm aware, I can notice when that foot is a bit unstable and say, oh, I know slippery slopes. I know the danger of slippery slopes. I know my very survival might be dependent on not going down the slippery slope. Yes. So slippery slopes, we need to take much more serious notice of them, right? And it's not when you're on it, that's too late. You're already sliding down. That's too late. Then you got to hit bottom before you can come up, right? That's just how it works. So when we recognize this, like I said, particularly for anger or any of negative emotions, depression, whatever, and worry and anxiety, same thing. Don't even stop. That's the point that I'm saying here, right? When that foot is halfway there and you see the anticipation, well, like you said, you see those warning signs. That's when you step away. You say, no, sorry, I don't want any part of this. Right. You don't engage. You don't get immersed in it, right? This is very key. So slippery slopes, recognizing that first tiny warning sign, even before it comes to you, then you can get out of the way, right? Because this is the key with anticipation. If you can see trouble before trouble sees you, you can get out of the way. Yes?
Right.
That's in my code file.
Makes sense.
It's in the program there. If you can see trouble before it sees you, you can get out of the way. This is the magic of anticipation, right? And also, it applies the other way around. It's not just about the negative stuff. It's also about the positive. How many opportunities do people miss because they're not looking one step ahead, right? They're not aware. They're not anticipating. So if you in the habit of anticipating, you're not only going to see trouble, but you're going to see opportunity too. Yeah?
Yeah.
Very, 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 very powerful. Very powerful. So there's some very specific techniques here that we can use to pop out of a bubble. And mainly the practice, it's a practice and a habit to shift our habit of awareness, paying attention to what we say, listening to what we say, anticipating, being aware of the slippery slope, right? These are all techniques and tools we can use. Yes.
Still for me, I realized early on that my slippery slopes usually began with giving away my power.
Exactly.
So I put a little sign in my office, stop giving away your power. I read it every morning because I just needed to be reminded over and over, don't give away, because I did it all day, every day. In every situation.
And why do we give away our power? Because we believe we should.
Yeah.
Right. So a belief in should, to tie it back to beliefs where Jessica's posts were, right? Beliefs are ridiculously powerful, but ridiculously, right? And this is it, being aware of exactly what anxiety and worry is, right?
But it takes practice.
Exactly.
God, I love Jessica was able to just know that if she cleaned her house, she'd feel better.
Right.
Boy, if I could only get that, you know what I mean? Because really, because a day like that, I'd be on the couch and I'd wake up the next morning.
I'm sitting in bed doing absolutely nothing, maybe scrolling through TikTok or something. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. And I'd wake up the next morning to a filthy house and it would start all over again.
Right. So the key here is, right, it's association management with thinking about listening to what you think, listening to what you feel, listening to your beliefs. Be aware of exactly what your anxiety and worry is, right? So when you start to anticipate, when you start to listen to yourself, right, when you watch those slippery slopes, these are all mechanisms for making you more aware. And that's always the solution to every problem, be more aware. Yes?
Right. Yes. And also you can anticipate something for the positive too. It doesn't always have to be a negative stance, and that's the thing is that it can make you feel so much more empowered.
Exactly. In other words, choice. So when we realize, that our beliefs are choices, and also through anticipation, through awareness, we realize and we become aware that we have choice. That choice is a choice. This is a huge difference, right? You have a choice. You don't have to be this way. So change the association between things that happen to say they don't have to be this way. I don't have to be upset when the weather's bad, right? I can be joyful. I don't have to be. That should and supposed to, this is what screws us up. So should is typically a very disastrous, terrible, almost evil concept, right? It messes us up because it uses our goodness against us. We think we should do it because that makes us a good person. No. Anxiety and worry, you should worry because if you don't worry, then you're not a caring person. Bullshit. Absolute crap and nonsense. Sorry, rubbish. Right? It's a distorted belief. No.
It is very much so.
Right. So this is very, very powerful. Pay attention to your beliefs be aware, anticipate, do things that will listen to yourself, listen to the world. By the way, I have to go. But on this listening to the world, right? When you were talking about the rain and when it's raining, practice next time it rains. Listen and feel the earth, the world itself, right? Just remember that I said,
Yes.
I love the rain. So
It's raining all day
for
here,
me,
so.
I love
Me
the
too.
rain. I love the way
Me
it
too. I love it.
smells. I love the way it feels. I love
Exactly,
everything.
exactly. But even when with loving the rains, to do this anyway, it will enhance your joy. Because to me, when it rains, I feel the earth, and the earth is like sucking it in and drinking it in.
Yeah,
And
thank
joy
you.
from
Thank
the earth.
you.
It makes me so overjoyed. I can't get enough of it. It's too fantastic, right? So
I have a really quick backstory about rain and thunderstorms. Before I started getting upset with them, I used to sit, so we used to live across the street from the school, which had a playground. I used to sit on top of, now these were metal slides. It was not the safest for me, but
yeah.
hey. But I used to sit on top of that metal slide whenever I would hear the thunder and see the lightning. And I always thought it was the universe talking to me. And so like I would talk back. And that's something I felt security and safety in.
Wow.
And then I don't know, for somewhere along the line, I just got mad at it.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Exactly. Again, associations and shifting those associations, changing the logic of things. This is very, very, very powerful. All right. So I have another Zoom thing that's
Okay.
starting right now, so I have to go. Cheryl,
Okay.
I'm so thrilled.
All right, bye.
I'm glad you met Jessica. You already know Cher. So by the way, just in case you didn't pick up on this, Jessica is Cher's daughter.
Okay.
Yeah. Just in case.
Yes, I'm learning not to say mom and say share. So
Yes,
this is
Okay.
a different thing for me.
practice breaking
You
it.
did slip once. I heard you say mom.
Yeah. But she's good. She catches it. She catches it. And it's just a technique that I've used that it's to break this thing of saying things without thinking ahead of it, just automatically saying stuff. Another way to
Yeah.
break the bubbles. Anticipate
true.
what you're going to
That's
say.
true.
Practice thinking about what you say before you say it. Don't say it and then think about it. Bloody hell. Come on. Seriously, people?
Well, Jessica, I can be in a tune with you. I work for my son, and
Yeah.
we have to call each other Justin and Cheryl.
There you
You
go.
can't call me mom in front of
That's
the
right.
team.
That's right. That's right.
I'm Cheryl. So
And it took a little while to get used to
Yes.
it, but you did, right, Cheryl?
yeah, I did. Yeah,
But it's liberating for him also at some point as children. We need to
absolutely.
move out
Absolutely. It
of
just
that
puts
relation.
us on a different level.
Exactly.
It puts us on a different level. Anyway, we got to let you go, Sil.
Yes.
Bye, Sil. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Jessica.
Bye, Jessica.
And
Bye,
Bye.
bye-bye,
Have a
Cheryl.
great
Cher.
day.
Bye-bye, Cher had to go, but bye-bye.
Yep, sure had to go.
Fantastic. This
Okay.
was most
Bye-bye.
wonderful. Love it. Love it. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Stop live stream. Stop recording.